Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome back to our number 8 session. It's customer experience innovation. And as for now, Mr. Izzat Aziz, the thought leader, will present us his um, his presentation. So, Izzat, over to you.
Thanks, Maggie. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great pleasure to be with you today as the keynote speaker in Enterprise Digital Transformation Asia Conference 2022. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all delegates in the conference. Asia can be seen as one of the most attractive, lucrative, dynamic region of the world. However, there are a few key principles for the successful digital transformation journey. Let me share a little bit of the key success stories based on our view in this particular region. Number one, transformation vision and future mapping. Following the same narrative by Stephen R. Covey in his Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, we need to begin with the end in mind. In any transformation journey, the vision need to be set clearly at the top. Senior management must articulate and communicate the compelling future digital vision. Transformation does not occur bottoms up. The digital strategy, business direction, and technology investment amalgamation at every level are required. Number two, future-proof by adopting cloud-first architecture and strategy. This is a very interesting topic as a lot of organizations are trapped in the so-called technology debt. It is encouraged to clearly set your expectation in terms of cloud onboarding after truly understand the value of the cloud solution provides. This need to be ironed out before investing in any technology stack for that matter, or it might end up becoming a shelfware in your organization. Let me double click on the practical tips to evaluate your cloud service provider, or we call it as CSP in your organization. When it comes to cloud, certification and standard are the most important to have. We have typically break the certification into three categories. We have the cloud infrastructure like ETSI, OCC, security, CSA, CCSE, SOC, PCI DSS, and the third one is operation. You can have ISO certification, IPAC, ITIL, and so on. This will give you the view of their service reliability, control effectiveness, and general performance. As a subscribers, you might want to understand their technology offerings and service roadmap. This is where you will be able to understand their service gaps within their offerings. Once you are aware on the area of improvement, you may deep dive into their policies around data security, information governance, and compliance. Make sure you understand their ecosystem, including their external service provider and dependency. Include all of these items in your contracts and SLAs. After button this up, do articulate your support requirements for migration, solution portabilities, and your exit plans. The third part is mindset shift, digitalizing start from the core. When using our mobile devices and tablet, we rarely consider that underlying infrastructure that enable our digital experience. In the corporate environment, enterprise resource planning system have molded and dictated the application landscape for more than 20 years, resulting in monolithic structure, high cost, and limited flexibility. Over the past few years, the cloud has begun freeing up the application landscape, wrestling controls away from the handful of dominant traditional development vendor. Today's application originate from variety of new source, including online catalog and exchanges. Seemingly, the entire world can now be considered as part of your company IT organization. Number four, data-driven business model, simplified virtualization, and multi-layered insight. Progressive digital organization not only consistent gather data, but connect to the visualized data in the context that generate insight and can be acted upon. The key to understand real time and the key to, to unlocking real time intelligence for dynamic and unified customer engagement is understanding the and addressing customer personas and micro segment. Traditionally, company have a reasonable, strong foundation of sales and transaction data. However, this data often lack the necessary dimension to create meaningful demographic, attitudinal, predictive insight. In addition, Data rarely is augmented by leveraging the publicly available and purchased data. Many organizations are using data virtualization to communicate information clearly and effectively to user through statistical graphical plots, infographics, and dynamic tables and charts. Effective virtualization help user to analyze and reasoning data and evidence. Data visualization make complex data more accessible, understandable, and usable. It accelerates a stakeholder and executive understanding and decision making around the technology capabilities and reducing rework and ultimately application development costs. The fifth items that you might want to consider is basically cybersecurity, data protection, and privacy. Cybersecurity and technology risk practitioner would have a good grips on on-premise use cases. But when it comes to emerging technology, the conversational becoming more and more complex. Imagine an organization with legacy infrastructure adopting IoT while not knowing, exposing themselves to the internet. This could be the recipe to their own disaster. Traditional defense in depth with the mentality of air gapping their data centers are no longer applicable. Security controls now have to transition from server protection to end user edge and security. Now, with working from home, sensitive information is accessed remotely and sometimes stored locally at employee laptops and mobile phone. On top of that, hackers are getting more and more creative in exploiting our weakest link, which is unfortunately our people side. Through phishing and social engineering, they're able to cut through most of the traditional technical defense in that control measure. Probably it's time for us to consider behavior biometric in our next shopping carts. One on a serious note, we need to take 5,000 miles view to re-strategize the controls in place for people, process, and technology. Investment in the end user computing is crucial. The low-hanging fruits include end user detection and response with end user UBA with end user based analytics, where it can detect in more to user anomaly with remote live response. On top of that, you can onboard next gen antivirus with zero-day sandboxing capabilities, endpoint encryption with biometric authentication, and so on and so forth. However, organizations are required to go back to their drawing boards and realign their architecture and business strategy. Conversational around third party and external connectivities management, especially on cloud, should be initiated. Typically, companies are quite pessimistic on emerging technology adoption, and the reason is because they are unfamiliar with the mumbo jumbo technical concept. Number six, digital age collaboration and partnership. Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. Some of the best innovation today marketplace is happening outside our company four wall, limiting the needs for the expensive research and development teams of yesterday. This powerful digital platform features open application program interface or APIs, open databases, service catalogs, integration framework, solution guidelines, and also collaborative tool, enabling a business to quickly create their own market based on customer focused solution, leveraging on enterprise grade information security services. With limitless technology partners, digital platforms allow for intelligent use of cloud, big data, social media, smart things, and mobile devices. Leading organizations are implementing in gradual phases digital platforms to bridge the steady and the predictable world of enterprise system with the agile, opportunistic landscape of digital transformation. Digital platform let business owners, partners, and even consumer rapidly create next-gen solution based on market or consumer change. Number seven, reimagining the journey. Customer-centric and customer-focused. In the late 20th century, marketers have product and services available through their digital channel. Today, product portfolio have become apps. Customer expectations swayed by digital innovation, stress legacy models as customer rarely accept an experience that is just good enough, causing business model to transform to deliver exciting and personalized customer experience and maintains the engagement. The music industry, for instance, transformed when it responded to what customer really wanted. Ongoing access to their favorite music united with the perspective from friends, critics, and musicians themselves through a business model that disrupts the limitations of the physical world. Successful digital transformation centered on building customer intimacy to drive engagement. Digital customer engagement is approached differently than traditional digital or marketing projects. The typical approach include three characteristics. Digital technology is built around the front end customer experience, unlike marketing initiative of the past, where it more back office and marketing and automation, but now it's more at the front end customer relationship and focus on the customer side. Technology and technique cannot be purchased off the shelf as an integration package. Instead, there are sets of application and emerging platform tools that create value now by enabling a digital ecosystem that automate the customer experience through social data, cloud, and mobile. Exposure to the new growth opportunity. Now, a lot of organization they have ventured in this growth hack, and also other growth initiative, not by adding digital features to existing product, but by changing the direction and considering how product and services adapt to the new digital customer. It is no longer the big beating the small, but rather the fast beating the slow. Lastly, all the principle for the successful digital transformation journey, as mentioned earlier, are indeed the key focus area. However, the new age has evolved in terms of the service and product, and on top of that, customer are already expected to have instant transaction. Whether when we talk about on-demand kind of systems, when it comes to approval, when it comes to service offering, and even onboarding to their new product and to their new services. They are expecting 100% uptime and availability. Now we cannot assume that we need to have 99.99 uptime availability or things like that, but customer wants to have the access to their platform all the time, so they are not going to tolerate in any downtime instances. The third part, convenient with suggestion. Now we need to leverage on all these prediction models, on the algorithms, AI, and machine learning to come up with the most suitable, the most bespoke, the tailor-made product for our customers. One-stop center and super app concept. This has been emerged more and more. We see convergence of multiple super app into one, and we can see these kind of things will grow more and more, and they are here to stay. And last bit is basically the ESG and green embedded. Now they are more conscious in terms of all this sustainability, green first, and also all this social responsibility. So because of that, we need to make sure that we embed all those narrative into our product and services. I would like to congratulate ESCOM Events for able to make this conference a reality and able to pull lineup of industry experts and thought leaders in this 2 days intensive event. Thank you again for the event partners and sponsor. Your contribution is vital, and the event cannot succeed without your generosity. Thank you all for tuning in, and God bless. Thank you. Thank you. Back to you, Maggie.
Hi, Izat. Thank you for that great presentation. It's always a pleasure to have you speak in our conferences. So yeah, if you have any questions for Izat specifically, you can just reach out to him directly by looking for him over at the People tab and sending him a private message. Thanks again, Izat.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, next, to continue our customer experience innovation track, we have a panel discussion, co-creation of brand value with your customers in the digital age. In this panel, we have Andri Hidayat, Digital Service Transformation and IT Director at PT Prodya Widhahusada. We have Ayesha Aziz, CEO at Trans Fashion Indonesia. We also have Arivuvel Ramu, CTO at Tonic Bank. And our moderator, we have Heri Atmada, Digital and Emerging Technology Partner at EY Indonesia. Over to you, Pak Heri.
Thank you so much, Jed. A good afternoon, closing to late afternoon to all the audiences. It's a pleasure to be here again to attend and be a moderator on one of the ESCOM events. And then, like as you said, I would like to really welcome the esteemed panelists here. uh, Bu Aisha from Transfashion. I believe she is a very accomplished dual co-CEO roles, and then has been actually leading one of the most important spearheading unit within Trans Group, right? And also, I'm joined here by Pak Andri Hidayat. Pak Andri Hidayat has been actually in the industry for over 20, 25 years, if I'm not mistaken, Pak Andri, right? And then Pak Andri is actually a digital service transformation and IT director from Prodia, a local brand that we all know too well and love in Indonesia, actually. We are also going to be joined by Arifurul Ramu, a CTO from Tonic Bank, which is actually just launched its operation back, I think, last year, March 2021 in Philippines. But a bit of technical difficulty, apology for that one, but for sure he's going to be joining us. And I myself, my name is Heri Atmaja. As Jed has said, I'm a partner in the technology consulting, specifically in the digital and emerging technology. So I cover Indonesia practice. I'm also double hatting as the ASEAN lead for digital and emerging technology practice. I'll pass the mic a bit to Aisha and then Pak Andre to introduce themselves briefly. Please, Aisha, ladies first.
Oh, thank you so much, Harry. Um, I think you have introduced me better than I can introduce myself, so thank you for that. I think I could hire you as publicist for Trans Fashion also. As as Harry mentioned, in a much nicer way, I am CEO of Trans Fashion Indonesia. Trans Group, as Harry mentioned, is one of the biggest consumer groups in Indonesia, and I'm responsible for its luxury and premium segment. So it's basically luxury and premium in fashion, and then I'm also responsible for metro department stores in Indonesia. I'm not very accomplished. It's just in the kindness of Harry. Uh, but yes, I'm in business for last 20 years. In retail, have worked in luxury, premium, beauty, fashion. But you're not allowed to guess my age, even when I have 20 years of experience. Um, just to share a little bit on how do I see myself. I think as a retailer, and for such a long time in retail, I have been through ups and downs and shifts and merges of different technologies and shift of how consumer changed, how consumer changed the way they thought, and how they started thinking differently about how they were supposed to serve. So it's basically the expectation map that kept changing, and now we are in a forum where we speak about digital transformation and it's direct linked with the customer. So in all honesty, I'm very happy to be here. The panelists are, much more accomplished than me, and so don't listen to them. I'm more accomplished. And I would love to hear from all of, the panelists also. Thank you, Harry.
Thank you. Thank you. Aside from being accomplished, I think very humble is also another of Asia's trait, right? So quite a little combination. Pak Andri, it's a bit
Yeah,
hard to follow Nike after Aisha. I think in this case, I would be timid as well.
yeah. Thank you, Pak Heri, Bu Aisyah. Hi, everyone. I'm Andri Dayat. I'm a Digital Service Transformation and IT Director. Actually, my educational background is biomedic and apothecary, and I have experience about around 25 years in clinical laboratory. Actually, I already have a very various area like operational, business and marketing, and also now services and digital transformation. So it's very exciting to join with these panelists to share and discuss about the customer experience, innovation, and co-creation. Thank you, Fahri.
Thank you, thank you. I think 25 years in the industry would qualify you as very much a deep expert, Pak Andri. So looking forward to hearing your sharing. And then I think in the nick of time, we have Aripuvel Ramu, I think who has managed to actually overcome the technical difficulties. So we are just basically briefly introducing ourselves, Ramu. So I'll pass the mic to you and maybe you can share a bit about yourself.
Oh, thank you, Harry. Good afternoon, viewers and fellow panelists. I'm Ramu, Group City of Tonic Digital Bank and CEO of Tonic Philippines. Um, you know, yep, it's amazing journey. Part of building a greenfield neobank and launching in a privately owned retail bank in Philippines. And a part of that, we had an amazing customer journey and a lot of learnings and a lot of customer voice and trends and co-creating product along with um, internal employees and partners and customers. So I'm here to share my experience with the viewers and my colleagues here. Looking forward to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramu. So without further ado, I think the topic that we are going to be discussing is basically something that actually very much relates close to our heart, right? We are talking about in the era of digital transformations, right? A customer is very much the heart of our transformations, right? And then one of the trends or one of the trade tricks that we have seen is that I think a lot of the companies have been actually going the route of actually embracing the customer in creating the whole a holistic basically brand value of their industry or corporations basically. So I would probably with talking about customers, right? Customers, as we know, different kind of generations, and then they are kind of quite evolving. They have a kind of a changing, ever changing kind of needs, right? Um, Noting that, how would say a company in this case, maybe I'll pass the questions to Pak Andre, right? In the era whereby customer needs and customer demands is ever changing, how would you actually navigate your company to be able to embrace the customer so that co-creation of branding can happen? Pak Andre, keen to hear your experiences at Prodia or elsewhere.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Heri. That's a very interesting question. Yeah, yeah. As we know, in last 2 years in COVID pandemic, yeah, it changed everything, right? Including we saw new behavior emerge during COVID
Yep.
pandemic, and customer now wants a simpler and faster service. Also, we saw the rise of the everywhere customer. So the
Mm.
customers not just only they come to our store or our clinics, but also they can come from everywhere, and which is they need like they need to every services provider is provide services at the moment of needs. Yeah. So also we look at the customers want to share more and have a lower tolerance. Yeah, if you compare before pandemic and in pandemic, in my experience, it's maybe they have a very stressful condition and very strict condition. It make they have a low tolerance. They want a total solution. They want a faster. This is the real change. In a Prodia Self, we have three types of customers. First is a patient or individual. Second,
Mm.
doctors, and the third is corporate or B2B customers.
Mm, mm, mm,
So,
mm, mm.
how we can leverage three type of customers to collaboration to co-create new services or new product for the same type of customer or different type of customers. Maybe I jump to the examples like we have, of course, like we have like mobile apps for a patient. So the patient
Yep.
can pay, can register, and schedule to take a sampling anywhere. They can ask for home service
Right.
delivery. Yeah, but they need also total solution, such as they want to direct consultation with doctors
Mm,
before they
mm.
take a lab or after receive the results. So we try to create a solution by providing a free consultation with a Prodia
Mm,
doctors. But of
mm,
course,
mm.
we when we provide the solution, we are very limited number of doctors in Prodia. Yeah.
Correct.
So how to catch up with the individual customer needs. They want to consult with doctors in 24 hours, in 7 days,
Mm,
but we are have very limited numbers of doctors. So we try to collaborate with our customer in doctors. Yeah. So we also have a doctor as our customer. So we try to
I see.
yeah, we try to collaborate and co-creation with the doctor customers and to understand what are the problem or pain point from the doctor side as well.
Yep.
And uh, we try to create a new application for doctors. Uh, they can actually when the pandemic, their patient is not easy to contact doctors because a
Yep.
patient is maybe afraid to come to hospital, to clinic. Yeah, so they need facilitate by us by using mobile for doctors to communicate with their patient. So we create mobile apps for patient for their patient,
Yep.
but also they can tapping to Prodia customer as well.
I
So,
see.
so in our mobile apps for patient, actually with this collaboration, we increase double the number of doctors, and we can give services more faster and more better than before. And also the doctors is very happy because they are can tapping to 1 million downloader and as a Prodia customer as well. So besides
Correct. Correct.
they can communicate with their patient, actually they also can tapping the Prodia customer, which is around
I see.
a million downloaded.
So
So it can make a win-win solution, yeah, for the patient customer and also for the doctor customer. That's the type of.
very interesting, very interesting, Pak Andri. So I think if I understand you correctly, I think when we're talking about wanting to co-create a brand value with customer, I think what I hear is that first of all, I think you need to listen to the customer needs. Meaning, I think first you need to provide the multitude of diversification services as the customer demands, basically. So get your internals in shape first, and secondly, you look through your ecosystem, in this case the customer itself, as you say, doctors within the customers, you start trying to find a way to rope them in, and that actually creates sort of like the snowballing effect. So that is very interesting. I mean, we have a bit of time over here. Maybe I would try to actually pass this concept of actually shape up internally and then start roping an ecosystem. Interesting. It might be applicable to the neo banks such as Tonic Bank. Ramu, maybe I can, if I can get a quick a thought and share from you on this one.
Sure, Harry. And Harry, yep. See, when you look at new banking space, which we predominantly we targeted for financial inclusion and women empowerment and addressing the mass affluent, emerging affluent. If you look at all their needs are help them to save money, access to quick cash, move their
Yep.
monies or spend wisely, and save their life. This is the motto for the critical need of banks. But if you look at vibrant developing countries and their trend, especially both retail and SME market in Southeast Asia,
Mm,
the upcoming market is Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines. Okay,
correct.
so if you look at Vietnam, is about the each needs and wants are little different when you're
Yep.
coming to brand building. If you look at Vietnam, it is 90 million people, but 80% of GDP comes from SMEs and 50% of job generation through SMEs. But there is no strong SME digital banks, and nobody looking for the small and medium or even micro
Correct.
SMEs, cash flow,
Mm,
transaction advisories. If you
mm,
look at Indonesia, a little different. It's about 275 million people
mm,
and spread across 14,000 islands, which means the connectivity is the critical problem. But on another side, there are 62% populations are in social media. Average
mm,
3 hours they are spending in social media. Average 3 hours. That's a statistic talk about, which means the customers already there in mobile, which means
correct.
connect via them mobile, reachable either customer acquisition or servicing through the social media. It could be
Mm,
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Viber. If you look at the customer onboarding acquisition, changing from traditional organic to mainly via digital marketing platform. If I put together into branding side, the key
mm,
success is listening to customer voice. How
mm.
was starting from the early stage, like the idea has been early validated via focus group study,
Yep.
and then prototype created and do a behavioral test. Again, your co-creation engaging the certain identified group of
Good one.
users, then pilot it with your experience app. If see that accepted by the little larger group, then you scale it. This is the
Correct.
different stage of collaboration,
Correct.
applying design thinking. But if you want to put together final, the co-creation in two level within I mean, inside out and outside in, outside in view and inside out view, which is CX and EX, customer experience and employee experience, which
Mm,
starting from your digital marketing and campaign. Second, self-service automated onboarding via mobile app. But through mobile app, the mobile only digital touch points, you can simple product you can easily sell it through digital experience. But coming to complex product like mortgages, still you need handhold, some kind of um, guided experience working with them, service them through near real time in payment and transactions. And last one is hear the customer voice and act fast via possible omni digital channels.
mm,
That means your contact centers are really enabled with a modern servicing channel through in-app chat, conversational AI, social media pages like your Facebook or probably Instagram or Twitter feeds, trying to see what are the problem the customer is throwing, and take that feedback, quickly incorporated through fast-based
correct.
building things. This is where the co-creation between the brand generation through listening to the customer voice.
Correct, correct. Thank you so much for that one, Ramu. I think similar thread emerging basically from the sharing for Pak Andri, right? I think it was very interesting case from at Prodia, right? Uh, Focus on the right consumer experience, customer experience CX, right? And then started by actually listening what are some of the top needs and services that the customer wants, basically. Focus on delivering the right value. Third, start roping in into your ecosystem itself, such as the doctor consumers. Whether the sector is industry is naturally in healthcare or in financial services, I think the principle applies. You mentioned something that's very interesting, actually, Ramu. CX and EX. So we have talked about touch upon the CX part, and then I think I'm going to jump into the EX part. Thank you for the segue into that one, right? And then for that one, I think I would like to probably quote a bit the survey that EY has done, right? About 54% of the employees most likely will quit their job if they don't have the right kind of exposure to training and flexibility, right? This is actually one of the challenges that compounds this so-called that we hear about the great resignations, basically. So to successfully co-create a brand, there are some of the prerequisites, the focus that we have discussed, right? And then employees are very much an integral part of them. How would you? What's your experience in terms of actually working with the right talent so that they can understand the customer's point of view, right? How do you maintain and retain the right talent so that that whole engagement of customer experience can still be maintained, sustained, and if not actually accelerated? Maybe get your insight on this one, Aisha.
Yeah. Thank you, Harry. Okay. So I think when it comes to you have put it together in a nice way in terms of how it canvases out, how it
Mm,
flows out on the customer level, on the consumer level. Um, you're absolutely right. The internal customer or our own employees, the workforce is as much important as the external customer is, because the selling itself should always start from the home. If we cannot sell the idea to our own people, if we cannot bring them on board, it's very difficult to sell any brand. I mean, you can name any brand. If Pandri does not believe in Prodia, he would not be able to sell Prodia to the doctors, to the people. So I believe this is a very important bit, and it's the foundation of the culture and organization and customer experience. uh, Actually, I think it's super simple, given our experience and given where
mm,
the world is going, given the overall, where how we are living in this is the whole digital social media village. Aptitude, I think, is still very important.
I couldn't agree
My
more.
Yeah, I mean, my grandfather used to use the term horses for courses. So, there are people who are meant for a job. I think as business leaders, we should be able to see, understand, and
Agree,
appreciate it.
agree, agree.
Someone who is good at, talking to people, if you put them behind a desk, they would not be able to work. So I think this is very important for us to understand. It requires open-mindedness. The second thing is that, when it comes to all of these things, I would consider motivation before skill.
Mm,
Like,
mm,
if a person is motivated, most probably they would put an effort to earn a skill.
mm, mm.
So if we are done with these two things, then to increase or enhance their skill, we just need to train them, make sure They understand what are their deliverables, and this is where the whole digital concept again comes in. uh, when it comes to understanding the deliverables, some people would understand what's written down on the laptop,
Yes,
because
yes, yes.
there is a platform where they can go inside, they can see what do they have to do, how do they have to do.
Right.
And then there are some people who would want to have a direct feedback from their line managers because
Mm.
they're more conventional, they believe in
Mhm.
offline, they would write it down. And then there are people who are old like me who would definitely write it down. So I think it's a combination of these three things, where business leaders can keep it together. And if this can be kept together, what you're saying, the great resignation can be avoided. We just need to add the bit of flexibility. Yes, the world wants the new generation, they want a little bit more flexible hours, or timings or
That's very true.
locations.
Very true.
And yeah, that's where the digital thing again comes in. Do we have we equipped them with the right kind of digital tools with the training and everything? I think then that's the only possible way to manage it. And then you have a workforce who have an aptitude and who are ready to deliver the promise. Let it be Prodia, let it be Tonic, or it's a Hugo Boss suit. I think the bit will be connected together. Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So, a lot of I think a lot of content, the insights that you have shared. Like I think when talking about managing an organization, is also managing the people within that organization, right? And then I think some of the key principles that I try to download from what you share is that uh, it's about basic alignment of actually core values through the aptitude focus, for examples, right? And then secondly, as well, there has to be some level of capability at the leadership level to be able to actually look at the ship, look at its crew in a way, right? As a captain, what are their characteristics? What are their actually DNAs? And then try to actually create the right environment, as you said, whereby they can blossom. Not everybody can be, say, an MD merchandiser, but some are actually more sassy and more has a lot more aptitude and capability in maybe marketing, for example. That's where it starts basically, and then try to create the right kind of programs within the company would be the manifestation and implementation of that one. So maybe Aisha, if you can share a little bit more in terms of like some of the programs or initiatives that you have done within your organization company that are actually aligned with those kind of like mindset that we would be keen to actually hear and learn.
Okay, I mean, from where to start, Harry? So
So
what
many
happened
actually
is,
items, right?
so it's not just so many. I think I would just to keep it very simple, where we can all understand what happened when the pandemic happened. If you remember, we were all supposed to go away. We were all supposed
Exactly,
to close our
exactly,
offices. Everything shut
exactly.
down. Remember?
Yes, yet here we are right
And
now.
yet here we are. Okay, good. Thank you. Um, the point. So what happened is that I precisely remember that our challenge, the biggest challenge at that particular point in time, was that we have a team who is predominantly an offline team because
Mm,
we serve customers in the store.
mm,
And we closed the office, and these people did not want to sit back home. They wanted to work, and we wanted to reach out to our customers.
mm, mm, mm.
So I think the first thing that happened is that we had to think of digital tools to keep the
Makes
communication
sense.
alive
Makes sense.
and keep it as much human as possible. And at the
Perfect.
same time, give some tools where people could work together.
Mm,
Now, when I said it to a team who sells
mhm,
Hugo Boss, Canali, and Eigner,
mm.
they were like, "Excuse me, no, we don't do that. We don't open up our laptops." So I think that the first thing was to, out of this group of people, which was, let's say, 15 people, I
Mm,
had to pick up three people who were more digital savvy, one, second,
mm,
who were interested to learn.
mm, mm,
So we implemented this tool. I mean, all the they're called all the tools to help them work together. Let's let it be Google Sheets, or
mhm, mhm,
the Zoom. At that time, I did not know what was Zoom.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
So we had to pick up these three opinion leaders. We trained them in a perfect way, and then we started using them to lead the opinion of the rest of the team on how convenient their life was. They were home, but the work was being done. They were still talking to the customers. They were still talking to the store teams. They were picking up stock from the supply chain, from the warehouse. There was it was seamless. There was no disconnect. So I mean, I would rather think that it was a combination of picking the people and the customer bit together and then thinking how can this be connected, because that's the expectation of the customer and that's the expectation we have as people, even when we are just working, we are just employees, we don't want this disconnect. So that's what we did, you see. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. So that brings what you're talking about branches, right? Outlets, for example. And I think there's a bit of similarity with Prodia in this case. Pak Andri, I would like probably to get your insight because during the pandemic era, since I think the first lockdown in Indonesia was actually March 2020, right? Until
Yeah.
recently, we have gone through multitude of waves, right? From
Mm,
very paranoia right now to a bit more relaxed, if not a very relaxed environment, right? I could imagine, right, Prodia in the healthcare back in the 2020, talking about rapid testing, PCR, etc.,
mm,
right, becomes very much, I think, much more mainstream basic needs compared to maybe meal even in some ways, right? So how does you how does maybe you can share a bit from your experience at Prodi? I mean, how do you actually recondition or repurpose your employee to in a way to a changing it in the market, which is in a way very much a force majeure kind of situation, yeah,
yeah.
Pak Andi, yeah.
Yeah.
Keen to
Yeah.
get your insight as well, Pak.
Thank you, Pak Heri. I think when we back to 2 years ago, yeah, it's the same like other industry. Also in the clinical labs, we have condition down significantly in every
Mm-hmm.
activities, including in the healthcare self as well, because mostly the customer, they didn't want go to healthcare provider. They don't want went to the healthcare provider because that's a infectious area. They are in a home, yeah. So at that time, we are also very shocked. Yeah, what we should do, what we should manage for this condition. This is the first time we faced with this condition. So yeah, we try communicate with the Ministry of Health how we can help them to support this condition. Yeah,
Mm.
start with the prepare about the ready for conduct the COVID test. Of course, it's not easy like now. Yeah, it's very
Yeah,
hard to get the reagent from region, and we try to create some services more. That's unique at that time. Yeah, at that time, like when we talk about the PCR, it's
mm.
not just only PCR, but how we can train our employees
To
have a
to
skill to take samples. Yeah, take the
like
samples. That's the best.
the swabbing, yeah. Mm.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And the second, when April and May and June, yeah, it start increase the test of the COVID, and we're not ready to prepare that condition. When we have a very huge test numbers, the customer needs that test number. Actually, we are not ready for that. Yeah. So in the very short time, we are collaborate with all the principal, all the vendors, all the not just doctor as a customers, but also with the government, of course, and Ministry of Health, how to prepare and anticipate this condition, and that's a mm, very challenging time. Yeah, and yeah, but when we discuss with our team, the employees, of course, they have a condition like what company will do to us, to the employees, when the revenues are significantly down. But
I see.
the one of principle Prodia coming from the founder is we are not decrease or reduce employees.
Got
That
it.
very make all employees is very confident. This that's a
Thank
very
you.
important point. And
Thank you
then
so
we
much.
go back in the June, in the September, I think. Yeah.
I see. It's very complex, and at the same time, it is very critical to almost every nation in terms of dealing with the crisis at hand, right? And
Yeah.
really kudos and then if I can have 10 thumbs up, I'll do the 10 thumbs up for you, and the Prodia lines, Pak Andre, right? And then one thing that's interesting that you mentioned is actually about how you collaborated with the different stakeholders, different parties, basically, right? So it is in a sense an ecosystem of healthcare player or providers to
Yeah,
provide that services,
yeah,
and that brings me to I think my third kind of like questions or topic I would like to throw to the panel is that about the co-creation of this brand value, how you would look at it from the stakeholder or the players in your ecosystem kind of perspective, right? And then I think this is something that it will be interesting to hear from financial services area, actually, Ramu. Being a neobank, right? Traditionally, banking is just basically savings and then involved to loan, for example, right? Right now, it's a plethora of services, bill payment, wealth management, for example, right? So many aspects, foreign exchange. Uh, how do you, as a neobank, which is kind of a slightly different kind of model, right? How would you approach this co-creation, providing the plethora of services by leveraging and utilizing the right ecosystem partners, for example, right? Where do you how do you find who is the right partner? What's the right process, for example? Because ultimately, I think the three questions that we have, that customer is number one, first king. There's no changing from that one. Second, employee is the engine that could, right? But you don't rely on an employee, and you rely on partners as well. So the floor and the mic is yours, Ramu. Start the neo bank.
Thank you, Harry. Um, Amazingly, you put onto two keywords. One is on ecosystem partners and ecosystem versus co-creation.
Yes.
This is the two, two key strategy today ruling the digital world. You know, if I look at this, the common vision and the customer centricity must be shared with the customer ecosystem, which is targeted customer base, which around the journey creations, and the employees, either a front office, a middle office, or back office, depends on which digital layer they are working on. Is it a digital front end, or digital engagement, or digital core end, or digital ops? Different area where the employees are serving
Yeah.
different portion of digital experience, and the partners who is providing most of the managed SaaS solutions within the digital banking ecosystem. So it's two things, right? One is the internal innovation. Internal innovation is in terms of technology, in terms of product, in terms of
Mm,
processes. There
mm,
are three area covers internal innovation within the modern organization. And the second is a partner-led innovation. The partner-led innovation and the internal innovation need to be aligned
yeah.
if in a common vision. That means must be aligned the same speed and a common goal. That is where the continuous propaganda of why are we here, what are we going to do, and what we are running through. So for me, one of the key objective during the partner selection during 2018 and 2019, um, my during my speed dating with think about 11 months I launched a bank. So you need to assume 60 plus partners literally um, chosen in a speed dating mode. The two things were core values we looked at it. One is the partner is co-creative mindset and shared ownership mindset. Shared ownership and co-creation. Because being a new bank, as you rightly mentioned, the ideas are new. We are not going to work on fixed 3 years or 2 years product roadmap. Almost every quarter, every month, the idea will change based on the customer echo, customer voice. Um, that means building the new product capabilities, our idea is the shared responsibility and quick go to market. So assume the partner should not come and say, oh, sorry, this idea, what you're proposing, we cannot put it into a product roadmap, which cannot be delivered for next 1 year. No, that doesn't not going to work. So, coming to product innovation, for example, empowering the customer, creating their own saving product, which we tried, call it as stash. In a typical word, is a personal saving. Another one we tried with communal saving, which is called a group stash. What it means is a customer can create a different type of their saving account based on their need, instead of as a bank selling to them, this is your retirement plan, this is your house building plan, this is your kids education plan. Instead of that, let customer decide, create a dynamic product based on
Ah,
his need. Second innovation is on communal saving. For example, in Asia, most of us, mom, dad, sister, brother, try to create a pool of fund, which is in a piggy banking model, to save money for good cause. It might be, you want to do a renovation in house, probably going to Europe trip, our sister's marriage. So creating a
mm,
collective. So these are the product traditionally not exist.
mm,
Even if I want to launch a virtual debit card, which only available in an app and which can be used for tapping any digital touch point through Apple Pay or tap to pay, which is not exist in the traditional medium or card processing center. Or even
correct.
if you look at the lending quick loan, where less than 5 minutes you complete your um, loan origination, customer credit scoring and underwriting, and proposing the offer, accepting offer, and releasing the cash disbursement, everything less than 5 to 10 minutes. So for this, need co-creation between multiple area. Some of the key product what we created, which is really co-created between internal tonic staffs and partner like our core banking, Finestra, our card management system, BPC, or loan origination, CRIF. So it's a collaborative work at bringing a new innovative product to the market. Most of these ideas are social listening, mostly input from Facebook, our Lighthouse, which is the pilot users. This need to be linked to your engineering skill again, which is internal, your employees coming to the co-creation mindset, which means you have a quick scaled agile Scrum development team
Yes, yes.
adapted this um, social listening feedback and quickly build it and release in agility. So which is need again one more direction. It need a new working culture, because most of us we have learned last 3 years remote work, remote employee collaboration and team building, and the motivation. So huge work has been done by our human resource partners around employee engagement and talent acquisition across 8 different countries and virtually connecting them all, motivating them all. It's that is where it is. It is three party, as you rightly mentioned, the customer ecosystem and the employee ecosystem
Yep,
and the partner ecosystem. All three
correct.
need to work together, bring this innovation to people hand to give a next generation experience.
Thank you. Thank you
But
so
just
much.
one point, Harry.
Please,
Uh,
please, Aisha. I was going to call to actually jump to you and thank you for
oh yeah,
volunteering.
no, I mean what Ramu said, right? I mean, given that I'm from very luxury and fashion kind of a background,
Exactly.
so if I understand correctly, even for a very digital financial product, your co-creation, the let's say the source of co-creation still comes from the customer, right, Ramu? I mean, you're talking about social listening.
True.
You, yeah, you basically it's the customer that touch points where you collect all this feedback. So basically, it's the co-creation led by the customer needs and by the customer feedback, right?
Trust me, even my customer says, hey, Ram, you guys are talking about crypto. No, please bring me the local payment rail first. We change
Yes,
our
yes.
product roadmap based on the feedback in a Facebook. This never works in a traditional bank. We saw, okay, 2 3 customers are typing about they want this particular payment type to be immediately needed. Let's change our roadmap plan from swapping our product rollouts. That is the kind of agility. It is purely a social listening.
Okay. Interesting. This is very interesting. But then when it comes to if you have rolled out a product, I mean, you have made something very nice and interesting that the feedback came from the customer. How does your customer know about it? I mean, how do you talk to them? How do you tell them about it?
Okay, we did we have an amazing two type of social touch point from the sales and marketing perspective. One is our internal sales, um, typically on digital media. So they do a lot of social PR through. Facebook, continuous posting, and digital campaigns about our products, about our capabilities.
Mm, mm.
Second, every month we release a new version of app with the new capabilities, and we upfront update on our Facebook post. Our if you follow sometime in Tonic, you'll come to know most of our feature. We start campaigning to them almost a month before we roll out, and even after rollout we keep pushing them. This all the capabilities and recorded videos with the step by step in animated mode, um, showing to them in a if you go through Facebook, if you go through our Twitter link, even Instagram pictures, and linking to that our public website, and lot of digital campaigns through
Correct.
partner as well as ours. We don't have a time for going for road shows, putting it into the traditional way of into YouTube's those kind of part, rather
Yeah, or
than
maybe a
this.
fashion show, Ramu.
It's digital fashion show, really speaking
Yeah,
it.
it's a digital fashion show.
Maybe I would like to add a bit to your questions and Aisha, right? So there are two parts of it, right? Figuring out what the customer wants, how they want to personalize the product and services. The second part is that actually once actually we have taken the input and create and develop the product and then launch it in the market, for example, are they really using it? That's the question, right? Is it still consistent or not? So that's the second part of it. There are certain sets of technology, plethora of technologies. Some are actually players such as what we call software as a service kind of vendors, whereby you could, if you launch a mobile applications, then which button that are being clicked, and then how many deep down from the menu item where they actually abort their operations. Those are the things that typically companies who have gone through into digital transformations would do in terms of the digital channels. Then the software as a service provider kind of vendor, which is actually integrated to that solution, will create to give you data. Oh, in terms of your button menu, these are the profile, these are the impressions, for example. That's how we actually transform the way of knowing and then checking by way of survey and questionnaires using the digital platform, basically. So that's that interesting part. But of course, creating the platform requires that a sizable enough customer to become something that's actually validated, much in a statistical kind of field, right? If your n is only 5, it's ignorable, right? If your n is 1 million, 100,000, then it warrants something, basically. So coming back again to the whole discussion that we have had, customer first, by creating the right kind of product and services. The first one, there has to be that kind of like speed, fast, agile, iterative process to get to the right one, two, or three services that actually caught the masses, basically. From there, analytics and as Ramu has said, social marketing plays a heavy part in terms of actually part of the growth strategy or the growth hacks. Usually, some of digital people would say in this arena. And then what's interesting is that I think combining between the traditional offline brick and mortar as well as the digital. Tonic Bank is neo bank, meaning there is no, to the best of my knowledge, is that it's all purely digital. But for businesses such as Prodia and then Trans Fashion, how do you combine that, the O2O, offline to online, for example? Papa Andri, do you have a viewpoint on this one? I know this is like, I think we have this is very interesting topic, right? And then I would like to give you some time to share your experiences and your thoughts, Papa Andri.
Yeah, thank you. That's very interesting too. We call it bridging digital and physical to create a great customer experience, right?
Right,
Uh,
right,
in healthcare, it's impossible to convert 100% to digital. It should be have a physical
correct,
activities like draw the blood,
correct,
do the
correct.
something.
I don't
So
think I can inject myself, draw the blood myself. I don't have the guts.
yeah, so we focus on that.
Yes,
Uh, how we can create a digital, of course, like I mentioned when we COVID, yeah, we also focus not to only to COVID patient as only, but also to other patient because when the COVID pandemic, like a diabetic patient, heart disease patient, they are very difficult to come to hospital because mostly hospital focus on the COVID treatment. Right?
Correct, correct.
Now we try to catch with that our customers. So our mobile apps at that time focus not on COVID test. We focus on diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease, and then all the customer can do by a mobiles. But when they want to draw the blood, it's not only they just can come to Prodia, but also we can give them services like anywhere service.
Mm,
Anywhere the customer there, we will come
mm,
to
mm,
home, office,
mm.
school, everywhere. So we try to merge physical and digital and physical activities to merge with give them one solution for them.
Yep.
Uh, and interesting is when in 2021 it rose around 900% traffic, not by COVID, because this is not a COVID patient. This is
Mm,
non-COVID patient actually,
mm, 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 mm,
non-COVID patient. And of course, we must facing with the employees, yeah, because when the traffic increase so high, we must prepare the team. Yeah. we must
mm. True,
we must
true,
Yeah, we
true.
must prepare the team as also. Now we can service around 1,000 place in a day. So everywhere customer there, we will go to the customer with 1,000 place in a day. That's
Impressive, impressive, Pandri. So I know that I think we are nearing towards the end. I do have one more questions that probably I will just throw it on the table. I'll ask for a quick feedback from the panelists, right? So we have discussed about basically customer again. I'm sounding like a broken record right now, but I hope I get the message pounded out, right? And secondly is that to do that you gotta have the right kind of talent, right? So winning the war of talent for your internal organization is very key, and then the right kind of core values, aptitude, as I just has shared, right? And then thirdly, grow with your friends, grow with your partners ecosystems, right? And then I think we touched a bit about the fourth point, right, in this digital era: data analytics, basically. So can I get your view quickly, Ramo, for example? How do you think? I'm making a guesstimate, but I think I'm about guesstimate. My guess is about 99% is correct, right? How do you rely a lot on analytics of your data? My
Yeah.
guess is yes, right? And then
See,
how do you go
modern
about that?
banks,
Yes.
modern banks live with decision making, quick decision making, right? It's all about the speed. The speed is about digital making. For data is a new oil. For us,
Mhm.
the data strategy and data economy is critical in terms of IT. One of the key IT strategy from the day one. I have built the even data lake using Google Cloud from the beginning, which pull out all the metrics. For example, the few items like customer interactions, transaction, product purchases. This data we use to derive customer sentiment analysis, behavior analytics, chin analysis, click-through analysis, which we talked about it quite some time back, to see how the current customer onboarding is happening and the product behavior is happening. And the second, product profitability, how the current product in which segment is being used as of now, different type of both saving and lending and even payment products. And looking at a transaction perspective, the big thing is we need to understand suspicious transaction, fraud transactions, and the fraud prevention, um, behavioral prediction, based on the machine learning models. And the big thing on the lending perspective is what we built it, and next best action to cross upsell a new product to the target
Yeah.
customer. What he is looking at in my public website, what is that correlation between the device and the browser, what he is looking at in my app, whether he just click, he didn't submit it, let's do a push notification to reach out to them to apply for a loan, for example. This is all about real-time predictive and data-driven decision making on the customer handling perspective. So data is the key for the modern businesses, and we do follow.
Thank you. Uh, Pak Andri, quick thoughts from you on the same topic, Pak.
Yeah,
Analytics. Is it really important for you? And my guesstimate again.
absolutely. Yeah. In Prodia, we have two type of data. First is
Yeah.
patient data. It's like patient data and also medical record, something like that. Right. The second one is about corporate data, marketing, finance, and human capital. So the two type of data is needs a different treatment-driven manage. Right. For customer, we must comply with some regulation, of course, like HIPAA and GDPR and something else. But how we can do the data, we can create a value from this data. We focus on, we have a talent, right? I mean, we have a people, we have a technology, we have a data. How three of these combine to a value for customer self. So the value for these three points should come back for customers. Maybe like this. When we talk
Correct.
about the diabetes, yeah, we know the case of diabetes is very huge in Indonesia. How we can leverage this data and identify the important point to prevent the diabetic self. So based on the data, we create a genomic testing for diabetic to not just a prevent but predict the person's every patient it will become a diabetic patient or not in 5 until 10 years ahead. So we create that we try to not just analyze but create a new solution for the patient. Prodia have branch from Aceh until Papua. That's make us have a very range ethnic for our employees.
Mm,
How we can use the
that's very true.
yeah the
That's very true.
employees ethnic to create a solution for employee self and
Mm,
of course for the patient. So we can combine that data and we can know which area have a very higher potential for diabetic, for cancer. So
got it.
we try to create from that data we create the preventive and prevention. So we launch like a CRIS. CRIS is a cancer risk. We create a
Yeah.
cancer
Yep.
risk
Mm-hmm.
to knows everyone knows the possibility risk of cancer. That we try to use this data for patient uh, again to the solution for the patient. And I think that's a point maybe Pak Heri.
It's very true. It's very thank you so much for sharing that, Pak Adri. I think we have got it. This is like what is it? America's Got Talents or Indonesia's Got Talents, right? We got a yes from Ramu and we got a yes from Pak Andri. Let's see if we get a yes from Aisha as well on using the analytics, Aisha. But to you briefly.
Yeah, Harry, I think your choice of, choosing me the last one is slightly questionable. Um, and I mean, I fully understand what Pa Andri is saying, and I fully understand how Ramu has put it together.
Mm,
But I think when it comes to premium luxury, or let's say the premium luxury beauty segment,
mm.
customers don't want to share their information. I mean,
True,
for
true,
us,
true,
sometimes there is a customer who comes in a Kanali
true.
store and they don't want any other customer in the store. So we are looking at a niche and we are looking at a customer who's really, really data shy. They
Correct,
don't
correct,
want to share their
correct,
names, they don't want to share their information in terms of their contact details. And they
correct.
would usually have only one person serving them. So, for instance, if it's an Eigner customer.
Correct, correct,
This
correct.
Eigner customer is maybe, I don't know, a son of a minister or something. So most probably they would call their, you know, guy that they are in contact with. So when you guys talk about data, I go like, oh, okay, what? I mean, yeah, there is there is brand, and they know that they buy something. So I think for us, it's a little bit different. We have to look at the touch points and whatever possible information we can get from these touch points, from these customer
Correct,
touch points.
correct, correct, correct.
So, you know, it's a combination of sentiment analysis plus offline plus
Exactly.
online, then putting it together in some kind of a matrix that, you know, for Paandri is a little bit more on the medical, I don't know, predictive model of or the medical conditions. For
Correct.
Ramu is, you know, thinking that how much juice he can get out of another customer or how much value he can offer to another customer, right? And for me, I think of how big a credit card a customer has. So I think in all of this kind of in this scenario, we have to think of a customer's personality and their need
Correct.
based upon this for us very raw kind of mixed kind of data, and then we try to go into a predictive modeling. I mean, just to give you an example, Harry, what happened is that we did a customer co-creation campaign with Eigner. You know, I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
all Indonesians love Eigner brand. So
Mm-hmm.
for us, it was a nice, interesting experiment where we asked our customers through a digital media campaign that what this is a bag. How would you use it in the best possible way? Because Eigner's designer was looking for feedback from customers, and you know, we wanted to do
Mm-hmm.
something about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we asked for this, and then you know they had to post the social on their social media with the hashtag, and you know
Mm-hmm.
of course we had to
Of
identify,
course,
was
of
supposed to be
course.
identifiable. And after the campaign, the biggest finding was that people, for that kind of bag, they were looking for a zipper on top because this particular bag was used for umrah and
Mm.
hajj,
Ah,
because of its, you know, convenience, because it was
yes, yes,
soft
yes.
leather, it was safe, you could, you know, you just could wear it crossbody.
Yeah,
Its length was very suitable, it had
yeah,
enough room.
exactly.
So, you know, from the co-creation process of where the customers could give input on the product design, we came up with a product which is part of Eigner's special collection for Indonesia, Malaysia, for Muslim countries, let's say. So I think it's a, if you understand, it's slightly clouded for us. So we have to, you
Understand,
know, go inside
understand,
and then say that, oh, this is what we want. So yeah,
understand,
I mean, that's what we do, you know.
understand.
I hope I have answered your question.
I think you have actually you have put it on a very strong note, right? I think if I may summarize, I think our time is running out. Very much thank you for the esteemed panelists, Pak Andri, Ramu, Ayesha, in the order of how you appear on my screen, right? Some of the key learnings I found from this one is that one, when we're talking about co-creation of brand value, of course, there's a customer word and start with the customer, right? Design focus on the right, the best, most optimum customer experience, right? Two, shower or pamper your customer the right kind of like product and services. Basically, Ramu has talked about basically being able enabling the customer to do their own personalized products or the right fit kind of financial products, for example, right? And then we talked about basically, look, if you want to do this, human capital is the heart of it, like human at the center. So at EY, we have this methodology called transformation realize, we call, which is human at the center, basically, right? So that's very key. And then we don't do this alone. If you want to actually dominate the market, you do it with your partners, you do it with your friends, the ecosystems, basically. Lastly, analytics is important, but with a caveat right now. I think what Ayesha has said is that, look, information is important, but I think ethics, data governance is actually a critical part of it, much like in our real world, whereby information is there, but if we actually freely exchange, it becomes gossip, it becomes so there's governance, there's ethics that we need to govern. So that the same applies in the digital world transformations as well. So with that, again, one more time, I would like to thank the panelists, Aisha, Ramu, and Pak Andri. I'll probably pass the mic to you briefly so that you can address the audience.
Thank you, Aisha, Harry, and Andrew.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Thank you, Pakeri. Thank you to the rest of our panelists for that great discussion. If you have any questions or would like to pick the brains of any of our speakers here, you can just reach out to them directly by sending them a private message by looking for them under the People tab. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you, Jet. Pak
Thank
Andri,
you.
Ramu, and Aisha, really thank you. You guys have been a great panelists. Yeah, the discussion was actually smooth, flawless, right? I think
Yeah,
there's engagement. I really enjoyed working with you guys. You guys are actually making my job so much easier.
yeah. And
True
Harry,
that.
thank you for keeping us together. We did not fight, actually. We behaved very well.
Yes, yes.
But lovely, lovely having you, as moderator.
Thank you. And then I will definitely pick up on your invitation for the Pacific place sync up and to talk about how we can stay young at this digital age. Yeah. Asia.
Yeah, sure. Seriously, let's meet up in Pacific Place Mall.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Ramu. Thank
you.
you, Jet. Thank you,
Thank you, everyone.
Aisha.
Thank
Bye
you. Bye
bye.
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 All right, so that is a wrap for our customer experience innovations track and also a wrap for our entire event. So we thank all of our sponsors and speakers for taking the time to share their expert insights to us the entire 2 day event. But most importantly, we would like to thank all of our attendees for taking the time to join us the entire 2 days. This event would not be possible without each and every one of you. If any one of you would want to watch the replays of any of our sessions yesterday and today, you can visit the schedule tab and watch the replays there. Even though the agenda has ended, we will still open the platform. We still invite everyone to visit the booths and engage with each other there. Once again, thank you everyone. My name is Jed from Mascom Events, Asia's leading B2B conference producers. Hope to see you all on our next events. Good afternoon and take care, everyone.